green tomato hangs tight and shiny hard, too late born to plump and pink beneath July's blaze hand and eye like summer's rapid rosy fruits. Long on a weary vine, days short, cool, shadowed by an ending, not making it to red before first frost and coming dark. I'll cup you, pungent from your shriveling foliage, in the shelter of my hand. White-green, lonesome, laggard one, stubbled wheat fields, leaf fires smoldering in the streets. We had this aunt in the family that I grew up in. Her name was Aunt Frances, and she was a very successful career woman in a time when most women stayed home, and she was also very artistic. But in addition to that, she was very critical and kind of pretentious, and sometimes we didn't like her very much. I have two poems about Aunt Frances here. The first is called Aunt Frances Assessing. For 18 years her stylish eyes eluded me, swept bluely to the sister she thought more promising. But the evening I appeared in a dark green file dressmaker suit, whose dull dish buttons I'd replaced with important, ornate, antique silver-colored discs, those blues glommed onto me, and she rushed across the room exclaiming. All of a sudden I was worth a second look. The same old me I'd always been, with classy buttons down my front. The next one about Aunt Frances is called Patterns, and Ed, I think you gave me the title for this. Do you remember? Yeah. Ed and I and Elizabeth and Joyce Grapsch had gone over to a workshop by Christine Sparks, and I think we all ended up writing a poem about a relative that day. Well, patterns. Aunt Frances' clever fingers covered cardboard boxes with wallpaper, added desk sets, waste baskets to match, silver circles, dull gold leaves, patterns placed just so. Frances and her boxes, Dad snorted and popped another beer. Deftly from heavy fabric remnants, she stitched pleated shoe bags on our singer. A mustard print piped in maroon, rust and honey paisley edged with black. Why does she have to have things match? Mom, clucking her tongue. Whitening in the nursing home, nose rising, sharpening, Frances revised and re-revised the will. Pink glass dishes, a gate-leg table, or some for fixing teeth to those who came to see her. Nothing if you didn't. I didn't. Looking at my flowered spread, striped drapes in gradations of rose and blue, I wonder why. The way death took her, morphine not enough. I can't tell her now how much I cherish the beige and green wallpapered box she left me anyway. This is called Trying to Replace a Bad Habit, and I started writing it last Lent when I learned anew just how hard this is to do. Trying to replace a bad habit is like spading up a bed of daffodils so thronged they've knocked each other out, and tossing the clumps behind the shed of fire to claim their spot for regal roses. And you turn, and rich and smooth, put in a red, a white, a pink, full bragging beautiful all summer, and why not, with such fuss daily tendered. Then in the middle of a heat wave you spy the dry discards behind the shed. It's hard to slay a daffodil when you don't want to. Break the clumps, stick them in clay, stony ground the woods, and by next spring they're winking at you from all sides, and worst of all, the bulbs you missed when you destroyed their bed the year before, the ones you always miss, have shot up huge and bright between rose bushes, barely showing green. So pleased to have room to splurge again, they're waving at you, bowing right and bowing left, and positively crowing yellow. And another workshop of Sophie Starnes, At the end, she showed us a series of images that were to inspire us to write something, and she had one of pouring liquid, and that did it for me, and this is called Pouring Paraffin. Burnt summer out the window and the others gone to play. She leans elbows on the table where the filled jars wait. Mother is melting square white blocks, pours the hot clear stream over purples deep as gemmy night, the stars within. Then the magic, the congealing into seals, while the child writes labels in a small, neat hand. Generations past those July jelly days, the stir and boil, pour, set. The fruitless later years left hard and cold, arm's length. The mother's unexpected jeers, the young girl's slapped down silence, the why and why. The daughter clears the musty basement shelves, but fumbles on a label-faded jar, blackberry jelly, 1939. Writing small and neat, paraffin crumbly, repressed sweetness welling faint. Burnt summer in the bee buzz, thorny thickets, buries a soft plop into pails. The steamy stove and mother, absorbed, even happy, her best blunt self at work. Skimming foam for the girl to taste, pouring on protection. Smoothing her hair when she has earache, smearing baking soda paste on stings. Letting her write labels, arm warm against her own. Preserved before the fall. I know a lot of you will remember when this group came to Williamsburg. It's probably at least 10 years. And they were sure that Sir Francis Bacon was buried in Bruton Parish churchyard, and that there were important papers inside his casket. Well, Bruton actually gave them permission to do that. And someone told me the other day that they may be coming back, this group. This is called Looking for Sir Francis. Sir Francis, Sir Frank Bacon, where, oh where are you? Millennium nears, we need your wit, the new age tips you've written. We've dug by day, dug by night, in stealth and with permission, dug Bruton churchyard, always up. But we never brought home the bacon. It's time for a few words from that snake again. That snake, I'm not entirely sure I've earned or like my status as pariah. You've heard that suspect tale about some greedy woman and an apple, I expect. But just watch this. A simple flex of muscle and my whole leg forms an S shape as I glide. Now, isn't that a lovely motion? And my colors, green as springtime grass or rosy coral striped with black. Even dull brown rattlesnakes are diamonds, diamonds, from their flat heads, lethal, I admit, down to those courteous rattles. Still, to see horror rise in human eyes when I shift my head or flick my tongue or drape myself serenely from a branch, I think I'd miss that if I were a soft-eyed doe relying on appeal, or a chipper, merely pretty bluebird. Power is addictive, is it not? Here's one called Back Soon. Big black crow rules the roof across the road, ignores the small and many birds that swoop and cry from sentry trees, trying to divert him from their young. When he chooses, he will rise unhurried, flop away on casual, back soon, wings. These last two are at least partly set on the Pennsylvania farm where my family spent Labor Day most years. The first one's called The Taste of Things. Cousins at an outside table on the Pennsylvania farm, we salivated over steamed corn, milky from the field, sauteed chicken plattered high, lemonade, blue air. Yet Mother's years there lived on, hard and bitter in her mouth. And Grandpa grumbled, Nothing tastes the same here. Nothing tastes as food. But when I was 18 and head over heels, my guy and I at Beverly Beach, hot sand, warm sun, jungle umbrellas, sandwiches, cream cheese and olive I packed, crunchy chips tucked inside them his Baltimore way. Well, nothing, no, nothing ever tasted so good. And the last one's a very old narrative called The Abandoned Orchard. 10 pails complaining at our sides, we half-grown 3 reluctantly climbed, single file, narrow trail straight up the shifty cinder hill to the curve of railroad tracks. Once on the flat, wildflowers rank around our feet, pale windmill petals tattered pink, chicory rays milky blue. We turned, looked down, lords now of all, to the shrunken farmhouse and diminished grandma, long skirt gray, hand shooing ya, ya, ya at us. She wanted apples for her supper sauce from the abandoned trees across the tracks where we'd never ventured. Hot steel shimmering in late August sun, tracks higher and wider than we'd thought. And there the orchard, railroad raked, some family forced to cede its pride, with little given, grandpa'd side. A square of trees, most dead and dry, tall grass halfway up their trunks. 2 lightning split, some broken-armed or offering one laden limb. Near us, 2 live trees, brightly full. But how strange the silence when we pushed in. Cicada shrills were suddenly still, grasshopper whirs, bird calls cut short. Only the yellow grass whispered low, while a slow, mute hawk circled overhead. And the red ball sun, an angry threat, bored burning holes in our heads and necks. Why should we feel intruders, thieves, of orphan apples poor as these, wormy and small, gnarled red and gold? And why be afraid? Nothing there but scrabbling branches, murmuring grass, a blue bowl sky, and that silence, ominous, menacing, rolling towards us from the farther trees. Hair rose on our arms and scalps, windfalls went pell-mell in our pails. We turned tail, beat through hindering grass, tore heedless straight across the tracks, skated and slipped down the cinder hill, ripped past the shed and chopping block to fetch up a sweaty, shame-faced heap against the screen door by the pump. Why, what's the matter, kids? From Mom. Oh, nothing, Mom. Nothing, Mom. Nothing. All 3.
And Joanne.